Mr. Quigley, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I appreciate your comments last week. You said the U.S. is troubled by the humanitarian situation in Gaza, echoing in some respects the words of our new Pope, Pope Leo, that it is calling the situation in the Palestinian enclave yet more worrying and saddening. Quote, I renew my fervent appeal to allow for the entry of fair humanitarian help and to bring the aid to the hostilities, the devastating price which is paid by children, the elderly, and the sick. I know your heart's in the right place on that, and you stated that the engagement from the U.S. and other countries, Israel has started to allow that aid to re-enter. We were talking about 100 trucks, we're hearing reports entering yesterday, far fewer than the 600 during the ceasefire per day, but that the aid is still not, even from that 100 trucks, is still not getting through to the Palestinians. What further diplomatic efforts are we going to do, and what are the benchmarks? What are we telling Israel that has to happen, and what are we saying the consequences are, if any, if it doesn't happen?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a very serious and important question, and I want to answer it here. And I'm not trying to filibuster it. You deserve the answer to it. Obviously, Israel is a key ally of the United States, and so we are always careful about what we say publicly about the nature of our conversations with them. But I think they've acknowledged in their own statement that due to the intervention of the United States and others is the reason why they've started to allow aid, albeit, as you've pointed out, not at the levels that are necessary. I can tell you I was in Rome this weekend was it Saturday, and I met with Cindy McCain at the World Food Program just to get a better understanding of the systems they have set up for distribution and whether they would, what amount of aid is ready to move in. And we've been engaged constantly. Obviously, I've been on the Hill all day, but I know members of our team, and this includes Mr. Witkoff, our special envoy and ambassador on the topic, has been working on that as well to ensure that additional aid is provided to people there. Because, as we said, we were concerned about the conditions and the directions that they were headed. I think ultimately we would like to see is for this to end, for all the hostages to come home, all of them, including those who are deceased, but their families deserve to have that closure, and we're committed to that as well. And I've said this a number of times in the past, so I don't want to get over my ahead of myself or over my skis, but I have some level of optimism that we may have breakthrough achievements here pretty quickly, hopefully, on an end to this and the release of all the hostages. Again, I have felt that way now at least 4 separate times in the last couple of months, and for one reason or another, at the last minute, it didn't happen. And so I don't want to be disappointed on it again, but I want you to know there are efforts ongoing to both provide more humanitarian assistance and bring about the end of this to this conflict as it's ongoing. Because frankly, you can't begin to provide the lives that the people who live there deserve, free of Hamas, until that ends.
And agreed as to the issue with hostages, and that Israel has every right to defend itself, but the manner in which they conduct the war has consequences as well for the safety of Israel in the meantime. So, but beyond just the talk and the diplomatic efforts, and I know you don't want to reveal negotiations, but there has to be at least some framework of benchmarks in which we're talking to the Israelis about what, at the bare minimum, has to happen on the humanitarian side with at least some repercussions. And we hear from our allies who are talking about sanctions, but at the very least, we have to have some sense that the U.S. is in this beyond just, please, would you do this because it's the right thing to do?
Well, I would say that our conversations are more substantive than just please do this, because it's a nice thing to do, obviously. Again, Israel, we support 100% their right not just to defend themselves, but to protect themselves from Hamas. To frankly, we can't have a future for the people of Gaza. There can't be a future that's prosperous and safe as long as Hamas or any group like Hamas is governing it. And there's a lot of work to be done post-conflict in that regard. But in the interim period, the one thing we've made abundantly clear is that the humanitarian situation, and I think this was acknowledged by the Prime Minister in his statement, the humanitarian situation and the direction that it was headed was undermining Israel's standing in national security. And so we've had these conversations in a frank manner. I don't want to characterize them or go further because, again, they're an important ally, and I also don't want to imperil the work that's being done, both to bring a permanent end to that conflict, but also to get the aid in an increased and timely manner.
It's in both countries' interests. It's in the Palestinian and Israelis' interest that there is a long-term agreement that allows both to exist peacefully with some security assurances for both.
Thank you, Mr. Quigley.